And remember, recover, return, my brothers and sisters. And tonight I will be talking about um, following the reading, my experience of the birth of my astral self, which had already taken place. I know you're like, well, how do you understand? I was in this. If you're hearing this and you've never experienced this, then it was exactly like you, like, how does this make sense? And I was kept being told by her, Joe, the real river is the river of memory. Remember, you just have to remember. And she would be like, I'm the river, I'm the river, I'm the magic flow. It's flowing all the time. There is no, there is no differentiation. You cannot, you know, draw lines. If you will attain where I'm taking you, if you'll follow me to the places I'm taking you, like be here next week. And I was like, okay. And step by step, she led me and she told me and showed me. Has nothing to do with the Bible, but giving birth hurts. Giving birth sucks. I mean, from a physical point of view. And very much like death, it just comes knocking like it's time to have this baby. Nature is calling the same way, but in a sped up fashion. I was having these pains in my mind, my brain, my neck, my back. Um, and I knew also these pains had to do with like the pain I was causing other people in life that I wasn't doing on purpose. I had to relive that to get past this, and I had to come face to face with like it's not necessarily your fault, but you cause pain without, like Maria, she's here now. She's like she said, it may be a misunderstanding in the context of eternity, but it's painful all the same. She said that's the thing you get the most from people who have died on earth recently. You get the, do you know where so and so is? Can you put me in touch with so and so? Okay. Sorry. I'm Maria's high maintenance monk. I have to have this and that and the other. But that's what relaxes me, to be the vessel, right? And I'm telling you, this is the birth pains of the astral birth. Okay? First of all, you have to go back. You have to put yourself up there willing to be, you know, you have to admit you're not perfect. And there may be, I don't want to say there's anything bad about our people, but there may be things you're like, why am I like this? Or why do I desire this? Or let me tell you, first of all, you have to first realize there's no one there but you to judge you. So if you're judging yourself by some other standard than your own self, your own inner code, and you might realize nature's out of control. It's not your choice. Should I say that again? Nature is out of control. In you, outside of you, in the clouds, in the river rising. You know, there's a song about the Mississippi River. It's like, I'm wild and lethal, but I'm mighty deep though. The river runs wherever it wants. And I could have opened my eyes and gave up at any time. And I would have, except Maria was there to say to me, just hang on, this has to be. Just like a woman giving birth, you know. And it's much worse for a woman giving birth because it could last, 10 hours or something. I knew somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew this wasn't permanent feeling. But I also knew if I didn't do this, my permanent feeling here on Earth in the Matrix was going to keep sucking, you know, to be a little St. Louis about it. And I had to realize a few things. What I had to do is I had to relive my birth into the Matrix to give birth to a new person, like Maria said, who's going to be ready and charged up and ready to go when you die. And she said, it will be just like taking off clothes and putting on others. And I remember her photographically right now. I remember her saying, listen to me closely. We have to first deliver a message to your wife. And it was like a coded message. It was from Maria to her. I didn't really even understand it. And it was like a metaphor of some Venusian kind, but she went out there. I've told this before, but this actually was paralleling my mother's pregnancy leading up to my birth. And somehow this had something to do with my wife and her pregnancy and the pregnancy and astral son I was in labor with, trying to give birth to at the moment. And look, this is what it took. Maria was like, I know. And this is way before I knew she was Maria. So I'm just automatically say that so I don't say her other name. But the Missouri River Goddess told me, as uncomfortable as you feel right now, you need to stand up and go and deliver a message from me to your wife. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, can you see me? And I was like, yeah. I was like, where are we? This is when I had my eyes open. And for a second, I know people, I guess, because you're tripping your balls off or whatever. But for a second, there was no house. And I was standing in like a zillion foot skyscraper. And I knew this is everybody's life in the Matrix. It's all recorded in this Akashic record tower. Floor by floor is nothing but hard drives, you know? And they're all running because it's all happening now. And I'm like, oh, God, that's too much. I'm like, that's too much, but that makes sense. Right? I told her that makes a lot more sense than Yahweh, one of the gods, created the world, hate your fucking guts because you're a Gentile. But he is willing to kill his own son so that you can be a Jew. Okay. I'm fine with being an Irish Italian mutt. I'm a mutt. I'm a St. Louis and I'm a St. Louis is within. And we're like part Native American Indian from the land, and they're part Aldebaran giant that lived here before them. Right? The earth is motherfucking old if you still haven't heard. Like billions of zillions. We like that word zillion. What's a zillion? You tell me. And I just love the like chorus of like, shut up, none of that can be true. As a clown faced, makeup face, fake hair, everything's fake clown leads you into murdering, slaughtering other people. And I'm the one who's crazy because I am almost in another reality where like it's better to be dead, dumbass. People like, oh, you got a job in a car and you're yeah. That's your expectation in 2026. All this technology, fucking wireless, everything, blah blah blah, and we are more enslaved than ever in my lifetime. Now we're like double, triple enslaved, right? And in that moment, when me and Marie were standing, I said to her, "It's like the movie Tron. It's like we're the humans inside of a machine." And she said, "Exactly. You're plugged into the machine. Your consciousness. You can't wake up." It made me very claustrophobic of time. Like, no, I want to wake up. Wake up. And but there's like a piece in me that's like, I am going home when I die, and I know I better value each moment. And I'm not coming back as an earth. I'm done as an earthling. Maria, I'm done as an earthling. Except I will come and live on this earth. I will do it. Not in this life, not in this St. Louis, Missouri life. No, with Louis Donna, with Donna and Lou, I will come and jack back into the Matrix. And she said, and tomorrow night you'll be here too because you'll be working with me. That's what Maria said. You know, it is such a practical thing. You know everything, especially about yourself. And what you need is the supernatural, not more knowledge. I I mean, I'm just repeating exactly what Maria said to me 12 years ago or whatever. But now I'm with her going, dude, can't you see? Stop wasting your time. Stop listening to the whistleblowers and the UFO people and the government and everything else. Because you already know all of that. True, false, good, bad, and everything in between. You know, the people are, it's knowledge, no, it's not. It's knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And I don't think it was a coincidence that today somehow my YouTube, was on and flipped to a video of the man whose first book I ever, first conspiracy sort of book I ever bought in my whole life. It was at West End Books on Euclid in St. Louis. And listen, had to be a pretty cool bookstore in, I think it was 1991 or 92. Yeah, I guess it was 92. No, maybe it was late 91. I don't know. I just remember it was like it said new release, and I really believe the book came out in 91. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Shit like this don't matter. I always want to prove it. Like I swear. Um, but and he was, a big naval officer guy in the 60s or whatever. And he was being interviewed by someone. He said, "Listen, man, I have been around all kinds of shit." He was naval intelligence. He said, I'm guaranteeing you, man, there's no life out in outer space. The UFOs, they're not piloted by people from another planet. They're technology that they have here, and they're just not showing people. Bingo. That's exactly what Maria told me. She said, Joe, you don't understand. You're like saying that a person can breathe underwater or something when you think that there's life where there can't be life. Do you understand that, Joe? It's meant to be that way. That's everything's not for our use. And a lot of shit we don't know, like the biggest, very biggest thing. She said there's a conversation on Venus. Have you seen the thing that, people talk about you can't describe? I think I have. What the fuck? I know. What do you think? Well, I don't know what to think, but we talk about what we thought when we experienced it. And we all almost had a universal I was remembering this, a universal thing of like, one of my first thoughts is this me? And like Maria said, because you're trained by me to know that you're the most powerful thing. So here you are. It's something indescribable. I've been telling you in my mantras, you're indescribable. And yet, the answer came back no, no, this is not me in any way, shape, or form. It is the true awe moment of like, what the fuck? In my mind, like other friends on Venus have told me, went through a series of like, am I part of you? Am I in you? No communication. There was no voice that spoke back. And I was just like, this is something foreign to me. I think this is where the whole idea of extraterrestrial aliens and see, sometimes the gods living on other planets is considered extraterrestrial. There's a lot of confusing language. But let me say it this way. I told a lady who was like, I love Maria. Um, I told her, we don't, I don't mean to be mean, but I have to give you some context. We do not believe in angels or demons. And she's like, what do you mean? I mean, I experience all this stuff and blah, 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 blah. I said, what we mean is those are human beings, like magicians, using occult magic and their intuition, imagination, meditation, and concentration to project themselves in all different kinds of ways. But the point is, there's still people. There's not these other beings. And she's like, so you don't believe there's any other beings that God didn't make? I said, we don't believe in God. Maria Orsic doesn't believe in God. Like, how long am I going to have to sit here to hear you explain what do you mean by God? Like, you talking about a being? We don't believe in a being that created our soul. That's our whole thing. Our whole thing is no one created your soul. Well, let me say it this way. In like my second ritual, when I left my body, she asked me a few times, asked me anything you want to know. I said, and she was answering telepathically as fast as I was saying it. I said, where did everything come from? She said, technology. I said, no, I mean the real everything. And she said, do you know? I don't know. And we both laughed. I said, I don't know. This was like the awakening for me. But I said to her, like, I have no idea why I would assume that anyone knows where everything came from. I said, like the Big Bang? And she's like, I'll tell you about a Big Bang happening inside of me. I was like, huh? She said, the myths are the stories of the planets orbiting the sun of your beautiful heart, my son. She's like, keep coming back, and you will pass each level of this initiation, and you will, your thinking will fundamentally be changed back into what it was. She is like, say it with me. I am my memory. Right? She was like training me. She's like, you know what the runes are? The runes are the runes of memory, ancient and existential. It's now that we need a supernatural experience. And if you don't, it's because you're dying inside. And try to, conjure up the energy to celebrate the magic that has already happened. And basically, this whole podcast, not only is it the teachings of Maria Orsic, but it's me in the process. You're watching me go from grammar to logic, information, to logic, understanding, to rhetoric, speaking it. And I couldn't do that till it all made sense to me. I'm trying to make it make sense to you, but it's hard because it is after my thinking has been changed. So I went out and I told my wife in this ritual of the birth of the astral body that I was sorry that if I caused her pain, I didn't mean it, but I'm truly hate and I just truly hurt that I cause your pain, that. And like Maria had me explain to her, like it's strange when you have a lack of value for yourself. You don't think you're important. You think, how could I be hurting that person? She's not even paying attention to me. How can I hurt that person? She don't give a fuck. She don't care about anything. But that's your perception and that's your assumption. That's what you're not supposed to do, make these assumptions. So I went out and I delivered a message. So funny that Maria, she was like, well, the Missouri River goddess at the time. And my wife was fully, initiated on one level and knew her magic name and all that. So it was in that name, she said, and actually we switched bodies at the crucial time. And she said something so funny to my wife, like, my daughter, I'm proud of you that you stuck with the old grandpa plant, the old grandpa of old shamanism, tobacco. And I laughed to myself. I'm like, the Missouri River goddess is telling my wife she's proud of her for not vaping and sticking with natural tobacco. And that how the natural tobacco was like a relationship, with a plant, with a tree, and that it was healthy, and that she shouldn't, only do that because that would be obsessive. But overall, it's a very healing, productive, human plant, a very important, lovely, beautiful plant. This is also when Maria would be telling me that she thought I should be smoking tobacco, during the ritual or other times. And once in a while, she would tell me, go get a cigarette from your wife and come smoke some tobacco with me. So this wasn't completely, out of the blue. There had been a lot of tobacco talk and a lot of like metaphysical reasons. I know it sounds funny, or, deep reasons why this war on tobacco was created and why they wanted people vaping. And she said it's very simple. The vaping could be, whole lots of different companies, and they can set up all kinds of, shell companies and mix what would look like preservatives and shit into the vaping that is another level, a whole new level of mind control and cancer population control also, right? So my wife is like, great, I did something right. I'll never forget, she was like cleaning the bathtub. And it was crazy. It was like I was standing beside Maria talking to her, but it was my voice. And I literally heard Maria say, like, okay, I'm going to go back to the bed. But it's my voice, right? And when I went back to the bed is when the whole deal really started. And just for the sake of documenting it, um, I really believe if you will practice this ritual and you will focus on remembering, recovering, and returning, that you'll be able to remember maybe probably the most crucial moment of your life, your birth, the actual coming out of your mother and detaching from your mother. And when I like got back in the bed and I closed my eyes, it just switched into like almost like I was trapped in like quicksand. It was like some like plasma, but I could hardly breathe, which was causing me all kinds of anxiety. And yet there was a voice, which I was like, that must be my true self. It was like, calm down, Joseph, calm down. Just stay calm. Think of something else. Just let time pass. Time has to pass. And just like later as a child, I was picking up the vibrations from my mother of just like panic and, you know, fear. And I mean, it took everything within me laying in my bed on 5 grams of mushrooms not to get up and just be like, I can't fucking take this. No, I can't do this. But that's what I was actually saying. I'll be honest with you. This went on for a while, and I guess probably like 15, 20 minutes into it, I start yelling for my wife, and she comes in and she's like, um, are you okay? You need something? I'm like, just hold my hand, be here. I was just like a fucking woman giving birth. I was like, just help me, hold my hand, don't let go of my hand. You're like, tell me and I was watching myself. I suppose the pain is so bad for women, they have several out of body experiences, as it's going and kind of going in and going back. That's what was happening to me. And believe me, I didn't want it to be, but my mantra was, I can't do this. I can't do this. And it was like my coaches and my helpers were there, like, you can do it. You can do it. You've already done it. It's your destiny. You can do it. And I just remember wanting to, I wanted my wife to like share the suffering, you might say. And all I could say is, I can't do this. And finally she said, what can't you do? So I can help you. And I didn't, I wanted to say I'm giving birth to my astral self, but I think my mind knew that sounded crazy, and what, well, actually, what came out of my mouth was beyond thought. What came out of my mouth is I am like releasing all the pain of everyone in the whole world. Like I am feeling it and releasing it is like going through me. It won't stop. It's like energy, like a river. My wife is like, "What?" She's like, "It's okay. You'll be okay." This is why I still have my eyes closed. I won't open my eyes because Maria's like, don't go, stay with me." Maria's like, "We got to get this done. You got to give birth to this son of man." And it was crazy. How much you really can remember is pretty fucking wild. But as I relaxed, I uh, I said to Maria, "Oh my God, they gave my mother like a drug to numb her if it got too bad." I can't remember, where it was like they injected her with something, and it was like uncomfortable before this and un unbearable after it. It was like someone plunged me into like a synthetic virus, and I could not think straight. I was just like, I'm not myself. I kept saying that to Maria. She's like, "It don't matter. Just hold on. Just hang on. Just keep looking. Look into the abyss. Look into the birth. Look out of the mother. You're in your mother's fucking womb. It's incredibly unnatural to give a woman a shot like that," she said. She said, "But she might have passed out from the pain and could have led to her death. But I, and Maria saying this to me, I was like, this is freaking me out. Like, it's like you're saying this to me as a baby in the womb." And she's like, "I did. I am. You are. I'm your real mother. I was." She said, "You're not going to believe it, but you're going to believe it one day. You're not going to believe it now, but you're going to come to understand and realize because of me, they wanted you dead at birth." And, someone like even my own thoughts was like, "But I'm not important. Like, why do they care?" And she's like, "Joe, you don't know who, how, what, where, when these people are. They don't, it's like the mafia, Joe, who say, 'You don't pay, I'll kill your kids.' You think they know or care who the kids are?" She's like, "They hate you because they hate me. They hate me, Joseph. They hate me. They hate me because they didn't know what to do for so long. They didn't know where they were. They were confused." Literally, these people went insane because they're like, "Where are all these people?" And she's like, "But they seen Hess. They seen Himmler. but they didn't see any of the occult people from behind the scenes, the hidden people like me. And this later, you know, like I'm speaking like she was telling me later after I knew she was Maria, she told me this was many months to after I knew she was Maria, and she was telling me, don't research, don't listen to these people. They don't know me. She said it's either hot or cold. My boy, my nigga. Either I'm here or not. How am I going to prove it to you? You know, are not the 10 ways I've ever already shown you? I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like I said, we're kind of going back to the point that you have the knowledge. You need the supernatural experience. You have the knowledge. You have all the knowledge. That's why it's getting boring. That's why knowledge gets boring. And you're like, oh, these are the knowledge people who don't like mushrooms. Okay. And literally, we're like, don't, you know, it's another religion. Let me just say that. Let me just not bitch and moan, because I want people to be with us. From the very beginning, I wanted, everyone to know, meet their true self and all that, right? But check this out. Maria let me go for a few months, talking complete nonsense. I was telling people, like, I met the mushroom, I thought, check this out. This is how crazy it all is. I thought that I met like the thing that was beyond everything, like God, like the universe, like source. And I was like, I guess it like manifests in the mushroom, because in my mind, I never said, who are you? I just assumed like this is the mushroom itself. And from that, I assumed it had to be source, like the way it was speaking, knowing everything about me. And it wasn't until my teacher came along, Maria, the Missouri River Goddess, and said, Joseph, I had to let you go for a while, but the mushrooms, they're gods, all in their own right. But what was happening to you was the gods using the mushroom as vessels. And you, once again, mistaken him, for God. And this was war on Yahweh. This was to put it to end. I mean, it's so dumb. When you say God, you're saying Yahweh. Yahweh is one of the gods. It's just a fact. Well, okay, I don't mean Yahweh. Then why are you saying God? It's only the Bible that uses that word, dog, backwards. Right? Our ancestors were like, shut up with that nonsense. Keep telling us about something that it's like interrupting with some, it's like in the middle of a physics lecture, someone raising their hand and going, hey, it's sunny out today and really nice. It's like, yeah, what the fuck does that have to do with it? We're talking about two different religions. I'd be the first motherfucking nigga to believe in God if it was real to me. And my whole life proved that it was not real to me, but that my ancestors were real to me. And they were waiting on this other plane that they may have, had to wait till I died. But luckily, because the mushrooms are the little gods and we're the big gods, I did it. That's what they said. You did it. 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 I was like, now hold on, did what? And they're like, you're here. You did it. You did the goddess's ritual intuitively without anyone teaching you. You did it. That's what you required of yourself to do. I was like, wow, that makes sense. Because when they were, I have to say, in 2011, at that time, I was, since the time I became a Christian in August of 1999, okay, since that day, right, I had gone through all the shit in the Rastafarian church with the supernatural shit. And my conversion into Christianity was a supernatural event. I was embarrassed to say an audible voice spoke to me, but it seemed audible. I knew one thing. I knew one thing for sure in my own sanity, that it wasn't me, you know, that it wasn't just my own inner voice, because it was something just so completely contrary to what I thought, And I come to find out it was one of my ancestors waiting for the right moment in his meditation back home on Venus to try to break through the technology and reconnect with me and say to me, he knew he couldn't tell me the whole truth yet. He had to lead me one step at a time. What did they tell you? What did the Rastafarians tell you? I want you to see this foundational thing. And it's Christianity, too. The trick of Christianity. What did Bob Marley's friend tell you at his grave, Joseph? That Rastafari, Emperor Haile Selassie, was about man becoming God like Jesus Christ did. And I didn't know better because I was born into it to say, well, that's complete fucking nonsense because Yahweh is not God. Neither is Elohim. These are Sumerian gods that the Jews picked up on when they were in Babylon. Huh? And see, God might make sense to you, but see all this suffering and this all powerful, all loving, give me a break. Come on, fuck you. Doesn't make any sense. What makes sense is impersonal energy that we live off of, called the sun, gives it to everyone, good, bad, and evil. It gives it to rapists, pedophiles, murderers. It tans their skin and gives them vitamin D3 just like everyone else. Right? Gives them the desire to carry on their line with 10 kids. Right? There's no controlling the hurricane. There's no controlling the tornado, the tidal wave, the tsunami, the earthquake. It can kill your whole fucking family. And any normal person would say, if there's a being, he's fucking Satan. If he did that, and any other normal person would go, listen, buddy, it's not good to spiritualize everything. That's for the imagination. That's for the other world. But here, you got to wake up. Logic is the absolute rule of nature, non-contradictory, right? So all your knowledge that doesn't come from personal experience is actually a hindrance. And we're not Gnostics, neither are we occultists. I'm telling everything, telling all the truth, right? People are like, someone asked me, are you saying you have sex with Maria Orsic? And I can hear her saying, well, we say magic amor, and it's a ritual, not something, two animals do to carry on their species. That's fine. That's not bad. Like she said, how many times must we defend it? No matter what you think. And you might be like, well, later I feel guilty. Um, that's what you were born into. The guilt was what you were born into. The desire that's driving the orgasm is not the problem. The guilt is the problem. Of course, in the assumption and context always that force and fraud is always wrong, of course. We're talking about complete spiritualized energy, right? What you might be like, well, I like this. This is what does it for me. That's your um, objective truth in reality about maybe, I challenge you, the deepest part of you ever. And if you know yourself, you'll see a clear pattern. You'll be like, I don't, no matter what you think, I mean, this is what does it for me. Uh, and like she said, it's not something we advise people be public about. Or never said that. We're just saying it's a very delicate hammer that smashes your life, that says you're a sinner, you're bad because of things you could not help but think because you like them. You like the taboo thought or like Maria said, something's got to turn you on. And when you're fighting a war, like Maria said, where you need, let's be bold, lots of orgasms. You need lots of energy directed towards spiritual warfare and protection of people. It's one thing on the daily battle to fight accidents. Okay? Do you understand that? That naturally the Hyperborean or any traditional European witch or shaman is like, you know what, kind of what comes to my mind of the magic I want to do? I really would like so and so and so and so and so to live long lives like after I die. I want to prevent any accidents that would ever harm them or kill them. That was like my very first, once I was asked by Odin, ask me anything you want to know. I said, how do you prevent an accident? Is that possible? I mean, I came armed, nigga. I was like, we're in a fucking simulation. Everything's already happened. Is it, if there's accidents? And he said, Joe, you're saying this because you've already done that. You've already prevented the accident that killed you. That was a suicidal accident because of other accidents that harmed the people you love because you were under a psychotronic attack from the very beginning. And I don't say that to give myself credibility. I say that because it's just become a living truth of like this is the price that had to be paid. And this is no shit. I had earlier mentioned like my second ritual. I was before the gods on Venus at my birth on Venus. And see, this birth, remembering my mother's birth, giving birth to the astral self, all triggered me back to a memory I had already had, but I started to remember more. Okay, at the time I had the memory, My first memory, like Maria said to me, she said to me, ask me anything you want to know. I said, who am I? She said, how about the first memory of your birth on Venus? She said, I've had it prepared to help you get there. We used to talk about it all the time. And I made videos about this, about being in this like tube and walking out completely naked and being before the God. This like, it was like a small stage and like 12 people, like 6 men, 6 women. And that's the first time I recognized Maria. But the second time, this extension of that memory, at the night I remembered my birth and gave birth, um, I I was before this council again. That's what I call it, and they were asking me things. And this time, I connected telepathically. I was like, "There you are." I was looking for her this time. This time, I was conscious. I was like, "Oh my God, this is my birth on Venus, and the Missouri River goddess is there." Like I was looking for her. I was like, "There you are. You're so beautiful." That's what I said when I first seen her. And I remembered all this, as it really happened, as it is. And they were talking. And when my mind met hers, she said, I have plans for you. You're going home from here with me. Can you hear me? And I was like, I can hear you. She's like, I already know you. And you're just like what I thought you would be like. She said, I have something supernatural already for you. I drew a little picture of what I thought you would be like from meeting with your true self. And she said, when this is over, you're going to be clothed and you're going to go home with me. And we are going to start my life. She said, I don't know if you can remember before you were born, when you were your true self, that I told you I will be your mother. If you will come, if you will be born. Like she said, not every soul is willing. It's a very magical thing that the time comes, like a season. And she told me telepathically right there, the reason I did this is I believe that you will go to Earth and you will be my son, like reflect your mother in your life. She's like, that's all I really want. And I was like, what do you really want? She's like, the true thank you. Because I'm going to reflect my life on earth in yours when you go to the earth holographic world. I was remembering this and I was like, what is that? And, this is like when I was born on Venus. She was explaining to me, I lived on another planet called Earth. And these papers, she was holding these papers talk about if you were going to be born in the real nature reality, it would have been on Earth on this date, 1969, July 24th, 1969. And I'm going, man, dude, this is fucking crazy that technology is this advanced. That's what I'm thinking as the observer of this, you know? of like, damn, they give you a straight up readout of like, this is what would have happened if the earth wasn't destroyed, or at least where and when and stuff you were born, and most importantly, your astrology. And she said to me, you're a Leo. She said, before you were born, I was telling my friends, my little lion is coming. My next child is going to be my little lion, but he's actually my big cat because he's also a Scorpio moon. And I'm the lion moon in the Scorpio sun. She's like, Joseph, I knew you